In the late 1700s, a powerful empire ruled much of the world. That empire was Great Britain. Across the Atlantic Ocean, 13 colonies in North America were under British control. British power. Britain had one of the strongest armies and navies in the world. The empire stretched across continents and controlled many lands. The 13 colonies, along the eastern coast of North America, were the 13 colonies. These colonies were growing quickly, with farms, towns, and busy ports. Colonial life. Life in the colonies was simple but hardworking. Farmers worked the land while merchants traded goods across the Atlantic. A costly war. After the 7 Years' War, Britain faced massive debts. To recover money, the British government decided to tax the colonies. The Stamp Act. In 1765, Britain introduced the Stamp Act. This law required colonists to pay taxes on printed materials like newspapers and documents. Colonial protests. Colonists were furious. They believed Britain had no right to tax them because they had no representation in Parliament. Their famous slogan became, "No taxation without representation." Growing tensions. Protests spread across the colonies. Tension between the colonists and British authorities continued to grow. The Boston Tea Party. In 1773, protesters dumped British tea into Boston Harbor. This event became known as the Boston Tea Party. It was one of the boldest protests against British rule. British response. Britain responded with harsh punishments. New laws were imposed, and more soldiers were sent to control the colonies. Preparing for war. Many colonists began preparing for conflict. Local militias formed and started training with weapons. First shots of war. In 1775, fighting broke out at the battles of Lexington and Concord. These were the first battles of the American Revolution. The war begins. The colonies officially went to war with Britain. It was a difficult fight against one of the most powerful empires in the world. George Washington. The colonial army chose George Washington as their commander. Washington would become one of the most important leaders of the Revolution. Continental Army. The new army, called the Continental Army, trained and prepared for a long struggle. A bold decision. As the war continued, many colonists demanded full independence from Britain. Declaration of Independence. In 1776, leaders gathered in Philadelphia. Thomas Jefferson helped write the United States Declaration of Independence. A new nation. On July 4, 1776, the colonies officially declared independence. A new nation was born. International help. Despite their courage, the colonies needed help. They received support from France, which provided soldiers, weapons, and ships. War on land and sea. Battles were fought across land and sea. The war continued for several long and difficult years. Valley Forge. During a harsh winter at Valley Forge, Washington's army faced hunger, cold, and disease. Determination. Despite these hardships, the soldiers did not give up. Their determination kept the revolution alive. Turning the tide. Slowly, the balance of power began to shift in favor of the American forces. Yorktown. In 1781, American and French forces surrounded the British Army at Yorktown. British surrender. The British commander Charles Cornwallis eventually surrendered. This victory effectively ended the war. Peace agreement. In 1783, the Treaty of Paris, 1783, officially ended the conflict. Birth of the United States. Britain recognized the independence of the United States. The new nation began building its own government and political system. The American Revolution inspired many other movements for freedom and democracy around the world. The United States remains one of the most influential nations on earth. And it all began